Well, hello, everybody. We're back again. Three old friends, music never ends. So we're up to our 69th playlist. Every time I say the number, I'm sure we all do this when it goes, we're like, wow. So that's 69 plus hours. So we're what? How many days are we into now? Solid listening to this stuff. It's great. I love it. But yeah, so it's when we're making this, it's the very end of April, and May's coming up soon, and Mother's Day, the day that we honor those women that we wouldn't be here without. And so they mean a lot of different things to different people, and we're addressing a lot of those in this playlist. It's an involved topic, and so we just want to salute those moms. So, you guys have anything to say before we get started?
Uh, yeah, no, yeah, interesting topic, of course. Interesting for all of us because since we've been friends forever, pretty much, yeah, we know each other's moms. We've met each other. I don't know if Dave's met Mike's mom, but I know both y'all's moms. So. And so moms are a thing, and we'll get into it as this goes on. It's all the complicated things, and if you know us, you know a little bit about our moms as well. So it's one of those topics that I don't mind covering. I admit that it's, for me, it wasn't going to be the greatest, but at the same time, it is time to you have to honor moms all across the board and what they do. And what I question myself is, what would this playlist been like for us 40 years ago without? I think it would have been completely different. And obviously the songs would be, but the relationships, what we've learned as adults, how mothers do, what mothers do, marriage, all that other stuff. So anyway, we'll get into it, and it should be fun.
When we started talking about this topic or whatever, at first I was thinking, yeah, songs with mother in the title or something like that. There's probably a few of those, but I was a little bit surprised when we started doing it about how many songs were actually about mothers and or dedicated to mothers or whatever. And so, as we've said before, these gives us great opportunities to expand out, try to find some different music that we're not necessarily used to, or artists that we haven't played yet. And so that always gives us an opportunity to do just that. And yeah, timeliness wise, we wanted to get it out before Mother's Day. And again, I think it would be one of those things where year after year, when we get to Mother's Day, this will be a timeless playlist that I go back to and listen to often because it reminds me about my mom and our moms. And we talk about moms too, and just say this one as well. It's not just when we do Mother's Days, it's always like it's not just our mother, it's our wife, the mother of our children. It's also honoring them too. So ready to jump into it.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on what you're saying there about what I thought it was going to be when we started. Is similar to you. I had all kinds of songs that had mother in the title, but different kind of themes. But these things, well, I know we all do that, but they kind of organically form. So we end up, it just kind of once we started going down that road, I think generally that's kind of how we did it, and that's why these things work out. Sometimes it's a little more chaotic. I also like those too, and we've talked about all this, but So I'll just
Well,
jump right in there. Oh, go
hold
ahead.
on. Let me just add, sorry, I do have to add that the way I approached this was, and I hate to say this, was going on the internet, finding the top 25 mom songs because I didn't want to have any formulation of what I wanted to pick. So of course, well, all of a sudden we have a Beyonce on here or something like that, which you would if you would have told me 10 years ago we'd have a song by her on our playlist, it'd been insane. But that's how I approached it. I think it worked out pretty well because it's like Dave said, you discover new music, and that's the best part.
Yeah, I will completely, and now I'm going to piggyback on you. Exactly the same thing. I do that sometimes, or often I go through and go, okay, well, I know these songs, but I'm 60 now and I can't remember them in 5 minutes from what I thought 5 minutes ago. So I need some ideas. And this one, except for a couple of songs on here, and I'm glad I did because, and I'll start with the first one. My first one was "Dear Mama" by Tupac, and it's like, I should have listened to that music when it was fresh and he was making it, but I was somewhere completely different. Um, and just this song to me is just amazing. It's about him growing up in a really troubled situation. His mom was actually part of the Black Panthers, and she nearly went to prison related to, some kind of going to blow up buildings or do something. I don't have the right story there, so I don't want to get it wrong. That wasn't exactly it, but she had a troubled life, and then he growing up, his dad, wasn't really there, and then it's all about that, and basically giving her, even though she struggled through that, and she had to deal with him. And some of this, I think, obviously is fictionalized. It's like he's a character. It's not just him in this song, but it really is straight from the heart. And I could go on and on talking about it. I think anyway. It really interested me in his music, and yeah, if nothing else to say about it, mothers are there. So many mothers are there, even through the worst of it.
Yeah, it was a good. I think it was a great way to start the playlist, and it was something new and fresh to me. I can't say I've listened to a lot of Tupac. I can't say that I've listened to any necessarily Tupac. I know who he is, and I know a little bit about it, the story and all that kind of stuff. But this was a cool beat. It was a cool song, cool. Acknowledging his mother and thanking her for all the things she's done, and in his life, and that's what makes it cool. Later, as we go through the playlist, we're gonna find out, in some cases where either mothers have passed away or something like that. Well, the opposite is true here. I don't know if Tupac's mother is still alive, but obviously he met an early death, and so of all the different things with some of the songs on the playlist, this one's a little bit different because he left us so soon, and so but he at least had the foresight to write a song about his mom, which is way cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like you, Mike, I was, a little late to the Tupac thing. It's just that, again, for us, it's probably mental boundaries of rap or hip hop or whatever. But it's one of those things that about 10 years ago, once you start picking others, I actually have his greatest hits on my phone for whatever reason, and this song's on there. So when I hear it, I was glad you put it on because usually we don't have hip hop, and it's just not what we delve into too much, but we do listen. I have some Wu-Tang Clan, and this song, and it also is a reminder how different people's moms reacted differently. Again, we were pretty much three suburb kids who never had to face the trials and tribulations of what Tupac has. So it's also a window into another a person's life of for whatever deals we deal with our mom's problems. There's always people dealing with problems with their moms, whether good or bad. But as like you said, it's your one mom, so you're dedicated to it, and he was dedicated to her, and vice versa. So yeah, it was a great way to start it. And so I try to keep in with the theme there, and this is a song that I found, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Mom, which of course is dedicated to the mom. It's pretty self-explanatory. But what I did like about the song, and it's kind of interesting that it goes with Tupac, is Tupac probably made his living off, I don't say make his living, but off sampling and stuff like that. And I'm sure at some point he sampled Earth, Wind, and Fire. What I like about the Earth, Wind, and Fire song is they use a lot of, not sampling, but different genres of music that have a little Caribbean, a little, obviously R&B and stuff like that. So I love that song for that. And obviously, the sentiment is there with, being mom and them writing the song. So just thought I'd put it on there with kind of try to blend it in with Tupac. I know we do that quite a bit.
Yeah, and I appreciate you putting on the Earth, Wind, and Fire. I will be seeing. There's two or three things on here that I will be seeing concerts related to in the next couple of weeks. I'll be seeing Earth, Wind, and Fire. What's today? Saturday? No, a week from tomorrow at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. And so, yeah, I love that band. And I did not know this song. I kind of read a little of the history up on it after. It was early in their career. I think they had one song that got pretty good airplay, but it was 72, I think. And I love it. It's just this samba kind of beat, and I forget, is it a piano? There's like toward the end, there's a really good solo, and I'm blanking out on what instrument it is, but it really fit in. And it's just straightforward, we love our moms, and they do too. So great, glad you put it on.
So confession, I did a very similar thing you did, Jose, on this one, and came across this song, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and probably played it 3 or 4 times before we did our playlist. So it was actually in my top 10. It was one of the ones where I was going to play. So I'm glad you played it. Again, kind of not that I discovered it or whatever, but it was new to me as well. So yeah, it's a cool thing. I like the fact that you guys talked about the little Caribbean or calypso or whatever that vibe was in it. It's just a way cool song. If you like anything about Earth, Wind, and Fire, then you're gonna like this song. And so yeah, it was a great tune. From there, I think the first 3 songs that we put on here kind of went pretty good together. I wasn't sure how this was all going to happen. Not a spoiler alert, but I for the first time on this one, I told my 2 friends, Mike and Jose, hey, there's a song I really want to play. Please don't play it. I have this thought. I have this plan. I want to do these things. And and for whatever reason, the 5 songs that I chose, at least on this playlist, fit with pretty well in the playlist where with what you all were doing, and it did fit my plan. It did continue to work. So my first song was a song by Justin Bieber, which again I wasn't familiar with until we started looking at this, and it's a song called "Turn to You," Mother's Day dedication. But with the Tupac and the Earth, Wind, and Fire, I know it sounds kind of weird, but the Justin Bieber beat or kind of vibe to it went pretty good with those first 2 songs. And I thought it was a really touching tribute to his mom. I mean, he talks about, I don't have all the lyrics right in front of me, but just how that she wrote it when she was young, when she was his age, she said, and that she was really brave. She was probably a young mother trying to struggle through raising the family, and then later in the song, he talks about how in '94 it was a rough time for them, and then she turned her life to the Lord and changed her life a little bit, and that probably propelled obviously both their lives, right, to be able to do what Justin was able to do later on as a teenager. And so again, I like some of Justin Bieber's music, and in this one I really like.
Yeah, it's again Beyonce, Justin Bieber again. And if you would have told us, heck, 2 weeks ago, like, hey, I'm going to be putting on a Bieber song, we probably would have been like, oh, wait, what? What are you going to do? Excuse me. No, that's not what we do here. But we do. And we have no rules. And again, it is a great song. And it shows the examples of these moms that are willing to give their all. And she was having her issues, and so she did what she needed to do, and then transferred on. Again, it's always interesting behind these stars that, yes, some of them have the easy road to it, and on their talent, but it takes, really, a lot of support for these artists to make it big. Whether we've all heard the horror stories, but for the most part, if you don't have a strong support system, it's not going to work. So I'm glad you put it on again. It's something that it enlightens us a little bit more. Someone asked me one time if I listened to Justin Bieber. Of course.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever. I'm sure I've heard Justin Bieber. I haven't sought it out. I'm not belittling the music at all. I actually think it's a really sweet song. I just like I had no idea, but I see why the girls like him. Seriously though, it's a really sweet song, and I don't. He doesn't say why. She's working two jobs, but I kind of get the idea she's also a single mother, or maybe I missed that. Sure sounds like it. And
Mhm.
that's kind of a big deal because a lot of moms have to do that for a variety of reasons. Plenty of jerk guys, whatever, but there's a lot of reasons that happens. I'm not giving up too much to say I was raised in a single parent household. I love my dad dearly, but it just didn't work out. And I know how much she had to do. She worked multiple jobs and things didn't always go. It wasn't like like some of the hard situations in here, but moms are willing to do that. It's like moms will take a bullet. Many moms will, and it's just I think that's I think it's the best part of this song. Same, I'm not comparing it to the Tupac song, but in the same kind of situation. It's like, that mom, they have your back, maybe troubled, maybe not always go smoothly, but I give it 4.5 stars, Dave.
We're giving out stars.
Well, all right. Should I do a Rolling Stone ranking of songs on this list? All Justin Bieber songs. Okay, sorry. Anyway, so I go to my next song is "Motherless Children" by performed by Roseanne Cash. Now, again, we talk about rules. Do we have rules? Yes and no. We have rules, but they're consistently broken. So that's our rules. So I did have this same song by Eric Clapton, um, and I picked this version for one reason. That the Eric Clapton version, it's so much as about the guitar and the sound of the music for me as it is for anything. This one, the lyrics are really front and center. It's a different arrangement. They're both actually covers of an old blues song. Oh, Mother's Children Have a Hard Time. It was written by Blind Willie Johnson, or recorded, I guess and I don't know if you knew this, Jose, but having some connection the same time I did to Dallas, some of these bluesmen recorded some of their better known things in Deep Ellum,
All right.
and
Yeah.
that's where that his version of that song was recorded. But her version, it's off of well, first of all, what it's about is basically it's mothers motherless children have a hard time when the mother is dead. It's basically, without a mother, nobody can be what a mother is. And in the song, it's friends will do the best they can, but one of these days your friends are gonna have to turn their back on you because they have their own, they're not your mother. And so it's not directly about the mothers, it's about the loss of mothers, which is a huge thing. And I can't imagine, but the song, the last thing I'll say, it's off of a record she did called The List, and it was all songs that at one point when she was younger, she's Johnny Cash's daughter, and you can hear that in her voice very clearly. He gave her a list of essential songs that he thought she should learn, and this is one of them. So she did a CD. I think she should do a second one because I've seen the list. It was out there somewhere. All songs that he were on that list, and so Yeah, I recommend checking that record out.
It's a great song, and like I said, I was familiar with it from the Eric Clapton that you put on before. But I can't say I'm real familiar with Roseanne Cash and her music. Um, but man, she's got a great voice, and this is a really cool song. I liked, yeah, it's a great song, and um, probably need to listen to some more Roseanne Cash because she just seems to fit that. Again, if this song is indicative of her other material, then I want to give a listen to some more of it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, because Dave is the only one who's had to deal with this, and we have not losing our mom. It's not going to be easy, and so for us, it probably has a whole different meaning. I'm not putting any words in your mouth, Dave. I apologize if you think I am, but uh, we haven't had to deal with that. So it's an interesting song. It's a great song. I may not agree with Mike saying that our friends will turn their back on you eventually, because I hope you guys never turn your back on me. Yeah,
That's the lyrics,
that's a
it's like
I know. I
they
just
can't,
did
friends
that.
can't take place of a mom.
Well,
I
you
know.
know, and when I think about the song "Motherless Children" or whatever, I'm thinking of it as like a mother lost early, right? And the younger children. For me, I mean, obviously, my mom lived a full life, and I was in my 50s, mid 50s when she passed away. So it's a little bit different than maybe.
Right, right, but it's still. I think the message is there. Losing a mom ain't gonna be easy, or for us, we can't speak to that. So yeah, and of course, always hearing a different version of the song is always something different, something unique. You always like to see if they can pull it off, and obviously she does. She has a beautiful voice. So yeah, it's a nice touch to the playlist. From there, I guess we're going to keep with the females. We've been neglecting them for the keyboard or for the keyboards and the guitars, but we started a little trend here, and I went with again. I'm not a country western fan. I don't know. Obviously, I've heard some of her songs here and there. I know the name Brandy Carlisle. I went to Mother, and it's a song, and it is a beautiful song. It's written about actually a different take about her becoming a mom. And I think we delve into this topic again. Yeah, we honor our moms, but we also know moms, and we know what I was married. I have a son. Y'all obviously are the same. We know what they go through, and moms' roles that have changed over the years. You know, your moms didn't do the same that our moms, how they were raised or what they had to deal with, the different aspects of it. So, and this is her confronting the sacrifices, the things that you have to do for your kids if you want to see them, succeed. So, and the reality of, hey, you're dealing with a kid now. So, and there's some interesting lyrics in there about, what they had to fight for, telling her, what they had to, because, her and her partner, that was frowned upon about 20 years ago, having a kid. So, just a great little song. I thought, obviously, a lot of people know it. So, I'm late to that game too.
No, I didn't know it. In fact, we've had one other Brandy Carlisle song on with Elton John, and she is kind of like Casey Musgrave. If I'm not giving anything away here, I guess I am later on the list. Kind of a crossover artist. She's now starting to do more, kind of a little bit, some country, but now some other stuff. But that's not really what we're talking about. This song, yeah, it's like from the perspective now of being a dad, a husband, and seeing that being the father of a kid. So you get a little taste of this, but it's nothing like the mom. Uh, the little baby crying and screaming in the night. The mom's going to get up until she's exhausted. If the dad doesn't get up first, and the dad's got to get up, but the mom's always going to be up. It's like, and she kind of talked about this here. First things that she took from me were selfishness and sleep. She broke 1,000 heirlooms that I never meant to keep. She filled my life with color, canceled plans, and trashed my car. But none of that was ever who we are. And it's totally true. It changes. Again, as a dad, I see this too. But fundamentally, for a mom, it changes. You were a girl, you were a daughter, and now you're being there for that person who needs that. and all the things that, yeah, you lose sleep and you deal with projectile vomiting and all the crazy stuff and fights with their boyfriends and, them yelling at you or all the things that kids do when they're learning to be grown-ups. And, but it comes down to it. It's like that stuff isn't what matters. What matters is you're my son or daughter. I'm your mom.
Yeah, this is a way cool song. I like it. It may be one of my favorites on the playlist. Um, because it speaks from her perspective as a mother, and you mentioned some of the things already, Mike and Jose both. That she trashed my car, she kept me up. But that's Evangeline, I think is her name, right? Uh,
Mm.
and yeah, I like the fact that she sung it from being a mother. Not she's not talking about her mother; she's talking about herself. Something interesting about Brandy Carlisle. Well, I know we saw recently she had a connection with Joni Mitchell and helping her get back to performing a few more times, just to be able to, so that the world could share the greatness of Joni Mitchell a few more times. And so she's obviously a mentor of hers. And I didn't know a lot about her either, but I've been listening to a lot more of Brandy Carlisle, and I think I clicked on something, and then I had all of her greatest hits or something. So for a couple of days, I just listened to Brandy Carlisle, and I have to tell you that I just really like this artist a lot, and this is going to sound weird. I don't know, because again, I've listened to probably 20 or 30 of her songs now, and she might be she may be the Joni Mitchell of our generation in a sense. I know that's hyperbole a little bit, right? The great Joni Mitchell,
She's
but
popular.
the way she constructs songs, the way she sings, and even she even does a little of that. You know how Joni Mitchell does that little falsetto thing and whatever. A lot of her songs, Brandy Carlisle does some of that too. And just if you give a chance to listen to more of her, you might see what I'm talking about. Because she really is a brilliant artist. And so I'm glad we hit on her. I'm glad you put her on because it really, yeah, I think it's one I'm going to continue to listen to. From there, I picked another song that I didn't know at first, but then through doing this, came across a group called Sugarland and a song called Mother. And it's just it's country kind of a song or whatever, but it gets into um, just talking about that's your mother and then she does stuff for you and um, I think it says something like as long as you're alive, then you've got that connection, right? Well, I started thinking about that and I'm like, okay, well, what if she's not alive? Then you don't have that connection. But while your mothers are alive, you have that opportunity to consult with them and talk to them and be their friend and all of that. There won't be any other. Um, so I thought that was just a really cool message, and I know it's different because it's different for me that I don't have my mom anymore versus Jose and Mike do. But this song kind of touches on the fact that while you have them, just love them and you know all of that.
Yeah, again, well, I like that we go with the Earth, Wind, and Fire genre of that and country, and they're both saying the same thing in different ways, but it's still relatable to the audience in that in those certain terms and the different context of that. Yeah, it's one of those things where your mom's going to be there. I like that it also flowed with, motherless children, the mother, but we had a kind of little country tinge there going throughout that. So, yeah, just a great way, good little run there. And I think it'll continue.
I thought they went well together as well. And I'm in danger of repeating some of the things we've said already. So I'll just pick maybe. I agree with everything you guys said. So I'll just pick out. When you listen to the songs, like something might kind of spark in your head, like a little, you get your attention. So it talks in here about when you mess up. what the child messes up, you know, she's gonna make you clean up the mess, but she's gonna help you and she's gonna wipe your tears and that sort of thing. And that's it got me thinking about, I'm not the best disciplinarian. I kind of wimp out, when it comes to like taking a firm hand with my children. I don't mean like corporal punishment. I just mean like drawing a line. It's like that's really kind of fallen to Rachel. I think that is the case within a lot of families. And I admire her for it because yeah, it's hard to do that kind of thing. But lots of mothers can do that with love, and so yeah, you made this mess, but I know you can. I think what's the line? And she'll dry your weary eyes when you let her, but she'll look at you and know you can do better. And dad, of course, we've got that too. Dads, we've got that too, of course. But yeah. Anyway, that's just my little editorializing. Um, so everything I say, none of the things I say reflect the opinions of other people involved in this broadcast. So yeah, Sugarland. Uh, have you put one of their songs on before? I feel like I've heard them.
No, never have.
Okay, well, they seem familiar. I went from that to Mother Rose, a song by Patti Smith. Um, Somebody who's really influential on a lot of bands or at least musicians like Michael Stipe and other people. She did Gloria. She did what's the name of that album? She did Horses,
Yeah.
something like that. Anyway, it's like a lot of people cite it as like this monumental album that affected so many other musicians. And but this is like later in life, and it's what I like about it is it kind of goes both ways. It talks about, I think there's another song or two that maybe do this. It talks about her mom, but then it talks about her daughter, her child, or at least I don't know if she actually had children or not, or has children, but in the perspective of this person, the son. And I think it is about her actual mother. I read a little bit about that, but there's not really much I can add except I like that. Yeah, this perspective goes for your mom and then your daughter, and that the passing on from generation to generation.
Yeah, I liked it. This was a great song. I really liked. I mean, just the last. It was like the Roseanne Cash, Brandy Carlisle, Sugarland, Patti Smith. They all kind of seemed to flow really well. This song has great lyrics in it. I mean, there's some we kind of weave in between like the actual rose and dying of the rose and thorns on the rose and all the imagery that comes with that and tying that to mothers and stuff. And so I thought it was a way cool way to do it. Not real familiar with Patti Smith, but great voice. And again, these last four songs just seem to flow one right after the other, and it went real well on the playlist.
Yeah, this is one of more of my favorite songs on the playlist. It just is some beautiful little song that I think kind of comes out of nowhere. Like I said, sometimes your relationship with your mom is thorny. Sometimes it's a rose, and sometimes it's beautiful, and sometimes it's thorny. So it's always good. And I'm sure you all can talk to this more than I, and it'll get into the other song as well. But you guys got daughters. I don't have daughters, so the mother-daughter relationship is different than obviously the father-daughter relationship. Obviously I've seen or observed. I can't speak personally to it. So it's a little different getting that perspective. They have a different relationship than y'all do. I'm assuming, and she's kind of explaining it there. So a little different than like Mike said. Champion those fathers, but there's a difference between fathers and daughters and mothers and daughters. Again, I haven't experienced it personally, but I'm going to throw that out there. Y'all can attest to that, I'm sure, more than I can. So. From there, again, my Beyonce pick. I knew she had done a country album, and I, I knew that she would probably be speaking. I know she has kids, and I think I'd heard that she had written this song before because, of course, there was controversy about her writing a country album and all, whatever that being snubbed and anything. But regardless of that, it goes to show her that obviously she's a very talented woman and she can write a pretty decent song, or it was written for. I don't know if she actually wrote the song, but she really sings it. And she talks about not only being kind of the mama bear, but also giving them the encouragement to shine on their own, and that's the joy that a lot of parents get, especially mom and dads. We get a joy about seeing our kids succeed. That's, it's like, oh, that's right. You get more probably more joy in that than they do succeeding. It's one of those little parent secrets that you never figure out until you're a parent and you realize that. So just thought it was a great song. I thought it went kind of all with the women all there going together. Again, I don't know if I'll ever put on another Beyonce song, but there we go.
No, you should. It was a good song. Oh, I'm out of turn. Sorry, Mike, jumped over you. Go
No,
ahead.
that's all right. I agree. And I didn't, I didn't even occur to me this was country.
Nah.
I wouldn't have thought of it when I heard that. I have heard a lot of her music. I couldn't tell you which song. I couldn't name the songs now, but I hear them all the time because Rachel listens to them, and I recognize her as a great singer and artist. I just, it's again, I have so many of these. I'll say this every playlist is like I really need to check into that more. Except in this case, I have no excuse because it's played regularly enough around. But yeah, what is there's an I really like the line. I first saw your face in your father's gaze, which we'll touch on this in a playlist later. But yeah, it doesn't just begin when the child is a child. That child begins well before that. So nothing else I can really add. I'm glad you put it on there. And again, we continue like this, uh, this little string of women's songs that really go well together.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. It was I guess five women artists in a row. That might be a record other than our women's playlist too. Um, so that was way cool. I'm interested in like the little child's voice at the beginning and through in a couple places if that's her child or something or um, I
It
wonder.
is actually. I looked it up. Rumi or Rooney or something like that.
So Rumi Carter is that's her then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's interesting. So yeah, great song. The protector. That's what mothers are. They protect their babies, and so yeah, you can do more Beyonce. I'm open for it. Um, so from there, the next song was drum roll, please. The one song that I wanted to put on as I was researching it and came across the song called "The Wish" by Bruce Springsteen. I'll just tell you, man, I must have played this song 20 times in the last couple of weeks. I just love this song. I think it's great. It's if you like anything about Bruce Springsteen, this is one to listen to. It's stripped down. It's just him playing piano, and I don't think there's any other instrumentation on it or whatever. But he tells the story of the young boy um, getting his first guitar at Christmas, underneath the tree, and that guitar changed his life. That guitar uh, answered wishes and brought wishes, for him and his family in lots of ways. Some good, some bad, but mostly good. That he was able to do a lot of things for his mom. Um, and then I like how he. I got to look at the actual lyric because I'll probably mess it up, but um, it's just one of the best Mother's Day kind of lyric you could come up with where I mean he talks about how he remembers her getting ready for work and just little stuff like that is really really interesting. Um, and then he says, um, "It ain't no phone call on Sunday, flowers or a Mother's Day card. Um, uh, it ain't no house on a hill with a garden and a nice little yard." Um, so this is that part of it, and then he goes on to talk about how really it's just he wants to take his mom out and dance, and he remembers growing up, just playing playfully, jumping off the couch and doing the twist and playing, and dancing with his mom, and that's a great memory that he has. And then as he's older, and he talks about in the song is that okay, so he's in the kitchen and he's going to take requests, and he said, but now I'm gonna I'm not going to play anything sad for you, Mom. We're gonna find a rock and roll bar and go out and dance, And anyway, I love the piano of it. I love the message of the song. I love the fact that it has a Christmas aspect to it too. That for me, Christmas was a special time, and it's something for me remembering my mom was always uh, just she went all out for Christmas, and so the fact that he brings that into the song as well is way cool. And anyway, it's probably my favorite song now on this playlist, and makes me think of my mom a lot. Maybe that I'm not going to go out to a rock and roll bar and dance with my mom. That's not what I would do necessarily. But I just think it's a way cool song.
Yeah, no, it's a great. My interpretation, of course, is the wish. Like the wish is just wants to spend a little more time with his mom every time and enjoy the good aspects. But honestly, like Dave said, and I promise not to do my Grandpa Simpson slash Bruce Springsteen impersonation, but it's one of those things where I think and I think we all have, I know, where we all have these triggers of remembering certain things about my mom, about your mom, and then when you see something like that, or it's the little things that you remember. It's not the grandiose things that they did for you. It's those little things that they did that you remember the most. And I think obviously he conveys it only the way that Bruce Springsteen can, and it's like it's just a beautiful song with just him and the thing, and the piano, and it doesn't have to be a whole glorious thing. It's him pouring his heart out. So all I'll say, Mike, is enjoy tomorrow.
Yeah.
Did I mention that? I don't think I actually mentioned on here yet. This is thing number two from this playlist. I'm going to see Bruce Springsteen tomorrow with Tom Morello and the East Street Band. I'm kind of curious if they'll work this one in there. I don't know. I'm trying to figure Tom Morello and whatever. I know. Anyway, whatever. And yeah, this I want to say. Well, I agree basically with everything you guys said, and there's not really much I can add to it. The little things that really stood out to me. It's like, yeah, the exactly the example you gave, like just the sounds, the things you remember. I still remember smells from a food growing up and Christmas. That's always a big thing. And I wondered, and now you've kind of revealed it in your comment, what your connection was Christmas and Mother's, because this song and your next two, Dave, touch. I hope I'm not spoiling anything here, but
It was
Christmas is in there.
the plan.
Oh, I hope I didn't ruin your little. All right, well, we're done then for the night. I just ruined everything.
No, no, you're not. You're not. You're good.
But anyway, yeah. Well, it's such a good song. I saw it's listed as a studio outtake, and I know like he's somebody that's very prolific, and they're periodically release stuff that's if you are into this music at all, you're just like, wow, that never came out. There's whole albums that they put like a. Well, I'm not gonna go down the rabbit hole, but it was that good. I'm really surprised that it didn't get a more full treatment. So I went with yeah, kind of took a little different perspective this time. It's well, that was the son. So this is the husband, or I guess it could be the boyfriend. He doesn't really say. It's called "That Was Your Mother," Paul Simon off Graceland. Um, I mean, probably putting myself in danger saying this, but I think it's my favorite Paul Simon song. I mean,
Oh,
I don't know that I'd say it's the best, but even Paul Simon has said Graceland is probably one of his most favorite of his songs. He's like, that just, I think he said something like, it's like a perfect song for me. It's like, it's just listen to it. Whatever. This isn't Graceland, but that album, it's like, this is one of the last tracks on it, which I think sometimes for some people that like bought it, like it's if they didn't listen all the way through, that they maybe don't catch these songs. It's not You Can Call Me Al or Graceland or a couple of the other ones. But it's great, and it's Zydeco. So did I mention New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival? I'm going to hear some Zydeco. No Paul Simon, but that's all right. But it's just about the dad. Um, describing, how he met the mom and kind of, this is who we are and this is how we came to make you. And I've always loved this song. I love it as much for the sound of it and the Zydeco as anything. But yeah, yeah.
Well, I think it was a good, change of pace because we'd kind of gone four, five, 6 songs in a row like that. We needed something to add some energy after the Bruce Springsteen. So that was a good choice. The upbeat. You mentioned that it's a great song. I think we all know the song. We've heard it a lot, which is it's very familiar. And I thought maybe you could have done Mother and Child Reunion, but I think you already played that on a previous playlist of ours or something. But yes,
It
no,
was it was it was actually I was a
Right.
toss up whether I was going to do one or the other. So and I think we did have it back in the day. But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
no, it's good. So yeah, can't ever go wrong with some Paul Simon, and so that was good song. I like it. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to agree with you, Mike. Of course, I think it's his greatest album. And I know this, and Dave knows because this, I think, is one of the first CDs I say we bought, but we had it together. And we listened to that relentlessly. Like and every song, and it's not just one. And that's the great thing about that album. It has so many different sounds, the African sounds. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes this Zydeco beat, and you're just like, I can't believe he could top what he just did. It just keeps getting better. And that's one of those songs. It doesn't have to mean anything, doesn't have to say anything, and it does in a sense, but it's that, like you said, Mike, it's that Zydeco sound that just gets you every time. So, and I like to call these on our playlist like our musical drive-in interludes. Like all of a sudden we're going and it's modeling, and then all of a sudden like, let's go out to the lobby. All of a sudden we have Zydeco after, ish. So, and of course, to continue the trend, let's go back to some more country. So I went with Mama Tried by the Grateful Dead. Obviously, it's a cover from Merle Haggard. I didn't use his version. I've obviously heard this version 1,000 times because I had this album and listened to it. And I always thought it's always one of my favorite songs to sing along because I always like the lyric. I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. No one could steer me right from that. And I always like that lyric, only because sometimes we get in trouble and you need your mom to kind of set you straight sometimes, or not, you'd end up in prison. I don't think I would have ended up in prison, but it's had my fair share of fun. But and I always love this song. And even though, again, this is how people like us rock and rollers learn about country when you have to listen to, you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is Grateful. Oh, you love the Grateful Dead, and then they're playing their country songs. You're like, oh, that's right. I must like country. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that on there. One of my favorite songs of all time.
Yeah, I very nearly it was on my list. I was going back and forth, this or Merle Haggard, his version. I guess his was the original. And then I saw, oh, who is it? Somebody, maybe it's Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
Somebody did a version with him, but I only could find it on YouTube. I don't think there's an actual. It was
Mm.
released as a anyway. So and it was really good. I think that's who it was. There's a few that I'm starting to get confused. Anyway, this song I actually knew because of you, Jose, because I heard you play it many times back in the late '80s,
In
early '90s.
Orleans. Yeah.
And so yeah, so I was like, I just knew it, and I don't know, I didn't know even with the Dead, I didn't know until I finally heard something I knew that they were covering that they did so much, honor to this Americana and country and whatever. Then I came along later and really got into Merle Haggard. He was like, I heard the name Merle Haggard. I probably first when I heard the song "Up Against the Wall," Redneck Mother, which I'm like, he's mentioned. It's like H is for I guess MOT8. It's like H is for Haggard.
All right. Okay.
T E is
Yeah.
for eggs.
G is
Anyway,
for T-Bird.
right. So I'm like, okay. I don't think I want it, but I've heard he was such a great songwriter. There's so many now. I love so much of his music. Anyway, I'm way off another rabbit hole. This is a classic song. There's nothing else I can add to it.
It's a classic song, but it's one that like I never heard this version of it for Grateful Dead, so I didn't have this album or anything like that, but and I think I'd only heard the Merle Haggard one a few times, where so I was familiar with the song, but then putting it again, having the Grateful Dead do it, uh, made it new and fresh, and it was way cool. Um, yeah, it's just a classic song. I like even in the lyrics, he says, well, the pop, the dad died, rest his soul, laid it all on the mom. The mom did all she could. He refused, denied, everything, and turned out bad in the end. But Mama tried, and I think that's a great message. Moms try even when we screw up, and even when we make mistakes, and all of us do. I can remember times where or, my mom wasn't too happy with some of the choices that I made. Um, and and she let me know. And it was back in a time when corporal punishment was allowed, I think, So
Yeah,
uh,
been there.
probably why I don't have any hair now, because she kind of may have ripped it out a couple times. But anyway, she tried, and
Hey, your mom was the nicest one.
I turned out okay, I think, in the end. But no, it's a great song. From there, I put on another Christmassy type song. So that was kind of my plan. As I was listening to all these songs, three of them had this little Christmas tinge to it, and theme to it. This one is really the most. I mean, this one really has a lot to it, but it's called The Christmas Shoes. And I don't know, it was played to death on the radio, I think, back in the day. But talks about how a little boy is buying some shoes and doesn't have enough money, and the person behind him, sees the story and has to, come in and pay for the shoes. But the poignant line is that they're just her size, and gotta hurry though, because Daddy says there's not much time, and want to make her look beautiful, in case she meets Jesus tonight. And I don't know who came up with those lyrics in the song, but man, every time I hear it, I just get teared up and I start crying. Like, it's just so powerful. Now, after you hear it 10 times, maybe it's not that way, but if you haven't heard it in a long time, yeah, give it a listen, because it'll pull at your heartstrings. This is probably a younger mother, obviously, who's dying of something. She's on her last days, and the little boy just wants to buy these Christmas shoes for her, and he says, because Mama made Christmas real good for us all the time, and that's why I said, kind of with my mom. My mom made Christmas great for us, all the time, and even for my even as I grew up and had my own kids, and for her grandkids, even she made Christmas special. So anyway, it's kind of a shout out to Mom.
Good shout out to her. I think I'd be Debbie Downer. Probably a little different perspective on all those. Christmas. Okay, I'm not a big Christmas guy. Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to. I understand it. Just not a Christmas guy. And again, we're in the middle or the end of March, and we're playing Christmas songs. Oh, that's kind of a tough one for me to jump into that pool. And then you hit it off again. So I understand your plan there. I guess it didn't jive with my plan, and that's how life works sometimes.
Well, Mother's Day is not in December. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny though that you're listening. You're like, well, I'm listening to a Christmas song all of a sudden, and then of course, oh wait, I am listening to another Christmas song. So hey, that's the beauty of it all. Of course, plans and with that. So again, yeah, I think it fits right in, and it is a beautiful song. And it's heart wrenching, when you really look at the lyrics and think about the kind of stuff that sometimes you have to endure, sometimes that people wish for. Yeah, it's a good song again. Do they even play like a like a Christmas carol at the end, right? Like "Joy to the World" or something?
I
That's
think that's the
that's
next
on
one.
Mom. That's on
What's
Mama's.
the other one? Okay, see, I got it confused. My bad. Sorry about that. Okay.
Yes, I had not heard this before, which,
Really? Wow.
yeah, I don't know.
You said it was big. What year was
I don't know.
this? I've never heard this song in my life.
But and yeah, it doesn't mean that it wasn't big,
Now you have, so that's great.
but I'll okay. So this is coming from the guy who put the started out with the Tupac song about just this really hard growing up. I'm not criticizing the song at all. I'll just say that it is heart wrenching. It's exactly the word. I was like, how do I describe this? Exactly how I thought. And I listened to it. I've taken to listen to these on the treadmill. I've been exercising a lot more. I use a treadmill because Texas, hot, muggy, whatever. And so I've listened to this twice on the treadmill, and both times I teared up. And I'm like, why? Can I keep walking listening to this? But seriously, I'm not belittling you or the song. It's just it is a really sweet, but very hard to listen to in some ways. But it's a great message because yeah, that happens too, and you've talked about it, Dave. And I guess what we didn't mention, the narrator of the story is the guy in line behind the kid, and the kid's like only had, you picture like a couple of dollars and some change, and that's not going to cover the shoes. And the guy behind the counter who could have done much better is like, well, sorry, son, that's not going to cut it. And so the narrator, pays. And then that's when the waterworks really start. So, but yeah, I appreciate you bringing this to
I
me.
guess
I
we
may have
can't
to save it
be scared in
till
March,
next
right?
Mother's Day to be able to handle it again. But it's a very moving song. Um, so I went from there into like a girl and her mom who don't get along at all. This is "Let the Wind Carry Me," Joni Mitchell. I think this song is as much about changing times because it was written in the early 70s. So you're going from, the baby boomer, well, I don't even baby boomers. I don't know what the wartime generation to the
Generation.
this yeah. And so yeah, there you go. Thank you. To the kids, the teenagers from the 70s, 60s going to the 70s, and her mom has a whole different, she's like, what's it? Um, Papa's faith is people, Mama, she believes in cleaning. Um, she don't like my kick pleat skirt. She don't like my eyelids painted green. She don't like me staying up late in my high heel shoes, living that rock and roll dance scene. And dad's, dad sometimes get an easy break here because dad's like, honey, let her. She's my little girl. But yeah, it's kind of a challenging song in that way because these are a lot about mothers and what they mean to us and this is another view of mothers, and she never really smooths it over in this song. I mean, maybe later in life because she's in her early 20s when this album came out. But she's being honest. And to be completely honest, Joni Mitchell was a free spirit, and she wasn't. She says her so in herself. She wasn't really the kind to settle down and have kids. And I mentioned, I think, quite a few different guys that she had relationships with, and I'm not bad mouthing her about that, but it's just that point of view, and I know it's a simplification because not everybody was going to the suitcase and going to the job, and the greatest generation, the mom's all home cleaning, but that's kind of for a lot of people that was the point of view. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting historical take on how that can change over time, and the issues that come up between mothers and daughters.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the song, but it's classic Joni Mitchell, and I liked how the structure of the song and how it flows. It wasn't verse verse chorus chorus verse verse or whatever. It's just kind of a telling that story. She weaves that in, and then towards the very end of the song, she then says, "And I want to settle and raise a child up with somebody." But she said, but it passes like the summer. I'm a wild seed again. Let the wind carry me. So she said the title of the song doesn't even come into play until the very last line of the song, which is Joni Mitchell, Dylan-esque, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a way cool tune, and Joni Mitchell is the Joni Mitchell of her time.
Brandy Carlisle, the Brandy Carlisle of our time.
Right? What's
Is Joni Mitchell the Brandy Carlisle of wait,
something?
I don't know.
It's obviously a fantastic song. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Joni Mitchell find out that she had a child and then gave it up and then reunited with it? There's a story out there, right?
I think you're right. I think you're right.
There's a story. So I find it kind of amusing that she wrote the song when she was young, and then she comes to find out that she has this child out there, 30 years later, and or I know there's a story there. I apologize for not knowing the details, but I remember something like that. So, but yeah, and it's not just mother and daughter. Obviously, it's the mother and daughter and the generational changes. And I kind of alluded to that at the beginning of how 40 years ago, this was mothers and had a different role than they even do to this day. And with all the progress that's been made with technology and everything else. But, the relationship is the foundation. But even that has changed over the years of how different generations dealt with different aspects. Our parents didn't treat we didn't treat the same way we treated our parents as they did. Obviously they have huge influence on you on how you want to raise your kid, but obviously there's different aspects of it, and you're just going to have those rifts. That's going to happen. I mean, because of the generations, it's part of that, and that's why I kind of like the song because it does confront that. It's not always about the good, the great. That sometimes you have to get through that to understand each other more. And I think Joni Mitchell's trying to convey that. She's like, yeah, I don't want to do what you did. I don't want to be mother at home, stay at home, raise three kids, picket fence, that kind of thing. I think she's trying to convey that. And a lot of siblings don't want what their parents want. So you run into that. You know, so I thought it was just a great choice to add to the thing. And of course, we continue with the women. I went with Casey Musgraves again, another one that I probably never used in my life again. But I just thought it was a beautiful little like it's a little small tune, right? Less than 2 minutes, almost 2 minutes long, but it conveys almost everything that you want to know about a mom and how to deal with that and what it entails. And I think it kind of encapsulates all those kind of feelings into a little 2 minute version. That's what I really like about that song.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's me. I'm like waiting for Dave. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love Casey Musgraves. I got to see her one time in concert at it was a Willie Nelson New Year's Eve thing that I won tickets to. And she was one of the opening acts. And honestly, Willie didn't start till midnight. And it was like my night was enough after that Casey Musgraves stuff. And that was just like she only had the one album out. But this is such a sweet song about mothers and daughters, and it could be any parent and child in the distance. I hear it. I hear these kind of very, very things said. Rachel talks to me about Shannon, being away in San Antonio, and I feel it too. But anyway, it's a real, and yes, it's the 2 minute. It's just it's just perfect. It like kind of I don't know. It's what it was needed exactly right there.
Yeah,
And now, oh, go ahead.
sometimes I was gonna say sometimes short songs are good too. What were we gonna say, Jose?
I just like an elevator pitch song. It's like 2 minutes, tells you everything you need to know.
Right. She lives away from her mother. She misses her mother. Fortunately, both of you have your mothers close to you. Jose is taking care of her mom, and Mike's taking care of his mom too. Um, I had the great fortune, even though I lived kind of far away from when we moved to Colorado. The rest of my family, though, was right there with my mom, and they had the opportunity to have caretakers in the home, through the last days and all those kind of things. And after my dad passed away, my mom went pretty quick after that. It was less than 2 years, about a year and a half or so. But yeah, from there, um, last song on the list, it was the trifecta of the three Christmas songs. It's called Mama Song by Leonard Skinner. Um, and for this one, it talks about how on every Christmas, um, how his mom would send him to bed on Christmas Eve, and she became Santa's helper and took care of him, and just the magic of waking up and seeing the tree and seeing the love that she had left for all of them beneath the tree. Um, and then he just kind of goes into, one day I know we'll be together when the Lord brings me to you. Then I know I will be in heaven when my eyes can rest on you. But until then, I will remember all the good times that we shared. I'll hang a star upon this tree for you on Christmas Day. I know you'll be there too. And then, so like every year thereafter, as he grows up and has a family of his own and everything, he talks about how just he remembers her on Christmas Day, whether it's the star or the tree or whatever it is. Um, it brings back those memories, and he feels like he's with her, together with her on Christmas. And then he says, but he longs for that day when they'll be reunited again in heaven. And I look forward to that day as well. Not that I want to pass away now. I want to live the rest of my life, but it'll be sweet to be reunited with my mother and my father and my other relatives at that time. And Christmas just gives us that little bit of glimpse of hope and of just, again, it ties us back to our families in a real way. For me, it does anyway. And so I thought it'd be a great way to end the song. And then at the end of the song, and this is Leonard Skinner, this is Southern rock. This doesn't fit like what you normally would think of Leonard Skinner. But then at the very end of the song, they do a little "Oh Come All You Faithful," I think it is, or something like that, little thing for that. And anyway,
So you're saying Southerners are heathens that don't celebrate? I,
no, not at all.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Of course, I know what you're saying, Dave.
Give me two steps. Give me two
Right. Oh,
steps.
yeah. About 38, the Saturday Night Special, the things they all sang about were not things that this is a song that you don't think Leonard Skinner, but of course, again, like all these genres, they come with their approach. They all have moms, we all have moms. It's just how you express it differently. And like you said, yeah, I have 3 or 4 Leonard Skinner albums. I don't know this song at all. Probably, again, I am not a Christmas person, so it probably doesn't register as much. Doesn't mean that it's not an impactful song, as all songs are. And like you said, Dave, his allusion to wanting to reunite with his family, it's one of those things. So I thought it was a great song. And like I said, unexpected from Leonard Skinner, but that's why I really love these playlists. The unexpected always happens with us, I think.
And it was Joy to the World that they did at the end.
Yeah, my apologies.
I messed that up.
No, I know I teased you a little bit about the Christmas thing, but I really do. When I think of my childhood and my mom as much as anybody, that's some of the strongest memories and the ones that the really fond times. Um, that's what I'll think of. I think this kind of is a good to put a star on it on this. I think it really did that though. It topped it. It's like, okay, now taking this is, as life goes on, we're all gonna go on, and you will be with me wherever you are, and then someday I'll be with you. So I appreciate it. I don't want to get too personal, but Dave, I appreciate you kind of sharing some of the things about your mom, and it came through in this music. But it's I think it's a really good playlist. Um, I actually normally the last person or the person who starts it finishes. The last time I stepped on your toes, Dave. So if you would like to take us out, you're welcome to.
Oh
Yeah,
no, I mean, obviously, we always talk about what songs we didn't play
right.
for whatever reason. Like Pink Floyd, Mother. just would not fit anywhere on the playlist. You
But
know,
I bet
Yeah.
40 years ago we would have used it no problem.
oh, exactly. We would have,
It's
yeah, for
weird.
sure.
It's weird. That's what I think about. I think like, why didn't we use Mother? But then 40 years ago, yeah, that would have been the first song played. Like, oh my God, we got to play that.
Or the John Lennon Mother, we talked about that
Yeah.
one.
I
Some
know,
other
right? Your
some
mother.
other songs that I had on here that I didn't play. Um, oh, there was a song called "The Hand That Rocks the Cradle" by Glenn Campbell. Talks about moms and all that. And then there was a BB King song called "A Mother's Love," which was pretty cool. Almost put that one on. Um, yeah, and Mother Goose, Jethro Tull. Um, but that's about it.
Yeah, I had BB King has "Nobody Loves Me But My Mom." That's an old blues standard. Your Mother Should Know by the Beatles. No one used that, which is weird, but I thought we that would have been one that would have come right off the board. But again, I think that's because we're different about that. Mother Popcorn, but that's just a fun song by James Brown. It
Yeah.
doesn't tie into anything. So yeah, I think we kind of hit most of it. And like I said, I like that again, this is a timeless thing that would, I bet if we did this in 5 years, we'd have completely different versions of it. So,
Yeah, and some of the songs like I'll name a few of mine. Let It Be doesn't mention mother much in there, I think, but it's tied to his mom. Um, I had a lot of the songs we did. Mama Told Me Not to Come, Randy Newman's version. So some of these, like, we really were like going, like, looking, really kind of taking a deep dive into what mothers are and whatever. And a lot of mine were like that, that Mama Told Me Not to Come is like, it's more about him going to some crazy party, you know. Oh, there's a couple here. Mother Nature's Son, Mother's Little Helper. I don't know how way to fit that one in.
Rolling
Um,
Stones.
that would have been
uh,
on 40 years ago, too.
One I really like by Ernie K. Doe, which I think it was maybe written by Alan Toussaint's mother-in-law.
Mm.
It's a fun little song, but he's not a big fan of the mother-in-law. Anyway, Mamas Don't Let Your great babies grow up to be
Oh,
cowboys.
that's a good one.
Oh, there's one a Taylor Swift song called "The Best Day," which reminded me. Actually, I was surprised when I heard that. I really liked that one. I mean, I put a Taylor Swift song on before, and I really I've come to like her. A lot of her, some of her music, but
Uh,
I thought it was really. It kind of like what was the one? Oh, the Casey Musgraves seemed like it covered some of the same territory as that. So
Are there
there's
enough,
many others.
are there enough Father's songs? Are we gonna be able to do a Father's Day playlist?
I've been thinking of them already.
I'm sure there is. There's tons. Which will also be another fun treat. Well, talk myself out of it and then doing it. uh,
Well, yeah. Anything you guys want to add?
no,
No.
We
I thought
good?
it was great. Like I said, I don't know why we say we're always apprehensive, but I think we do a pretty decent job. I know, patting ourselves on the back of putting these things together. So
Yeah. Me too, and Mike, you too.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a really good job.
I have no problem patting ourselves on the back because I'm not sure how many other people are seeing these. So
Our
as long as
27
we
followers,
appreciate,
come on, come on.
yeah, I'm sure we got a couple. No, I got to quit making that joke. So yeah, guys, I loved it. And here's again to all the moms out there that we know or don't know. And happy Mother's Day. And so that's it. Until next time, take it easy.